Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Business South Carolina. We're up to episode number 57 if you are keeping score, and as always, I am your host, Rick Jenkins. It's time for our monthly industry outlook, and today we'll be talking about affordable housing, or more specifically, the lack of it. With the cost of new homes rising and wages remaining stagnant, entry-level homeownership is increasingly out of reach for the state's average wage earners. Affordable apartments are a problem as well, with the average two-bedroom apartment in an urban area starting at about $1,600 a month. We're going to examine the problem with the help of Don Dowden. Don is the Chief Operating Officer at Homes of Hope. They are a nonprofit organization, and they're now the largest developer of single-family affordable housing in South Carolina. But before we get to Don, I want to thank our presenting partner, Haynesworth Sinclair Boyd, one of the premier legal firms in the state. With more than 110 attorneys and offices across the Carolinas, the firm is committed to providing excellent, efficient legal service to their clients. In addition to working with businesses and individuals, the firm represents a wide variety of nonprofit organizations in the areas of community development, healthcare, higher education, and the arts. They assist with advice and counsel on board governance, tax-exempt status, employment, real estate, and litigation matters. Thank you, Haynesworth Sinclair Boyd, for helping to make it possible for us to bring this content to the business community in South Carolina. All right, let's get to it. As I mentioned, Don Dowden, who is the COO at Homes of Hope, will be joining us here momentarily. But first, I'm going to spend a couple minutes with this guy. This is Carter Hollis. He is the market executive at Dogwood State Bank. And banks are really important when we're talking about this affordable housing topic, folks. I'm going to let Carter explain that here just for a couple minutes. Carter, welcome.
Thanks, Rick. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. You joined me on a recent episode, and that didn't scare you off because you came back. And I want to talk a little bit about affordable housing. Your bank, Dogwood State Bank, you all have taken an interest in affordable housing, and I know it's important to you. Why is that?
What's such an important issue for the community as a whole, right? And probably one of the biggest things that we do as a community bank within our community and to provide lift is by helping small businesses and companies with capital needs and cash management needs. And what we hear time and time again from our clients is the issue around labor and attracting and retaining good labor, especially in your service and hospitality industries. And, that kind of quality of life for the labor pool that's out there really kind of boils down and starts with, affordable housing and, having that good quality of life and helping them be able to retain, good employees and good workers is such paramount to their success.
Sure. Favorable loans would be important to an organization.
Everybody, right?
That's right, to everyone, but especially to an organization like Homes of Hope, which we'll be talking to shortly, because they are a nonprofit organization that builds, of course, affordable homes throughout South Carolina, and they need all the help they can get. And it's important for banks and organizations like you to help them from a financial perspective achieve their goal and their mission.
That's right, absolutely. And it kind of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish in meeting that need for affordable housing, it really requires a bank to be pretty nimble. You can't, take this and fit it inside of a block, right? You need the issue of having all the equity up front into a deal, providing a 15-year term or a 20-year term, maybe a 5-year kind of fixed rate, balloon. And the cost environment we're in, the pricing environment we're in, that really doesn't help organizations like Homes of Hope, meet their needs. They really kind of need, revolving equity to kind of come in phases. They need that, longer term fixed rate, 30-year kind of money and options. And so it takes a lot of creativity on the banking side, to try to deliver that for sure.
Creativity and flexibility.
Absolutely.
Homes of Hope, you all have been kind of a fan of theirs for a while. What is it about their mission that is appealing?
Well, they're such servant leaders in what they do. And they've been, for the better part of 20, 25 years now, kind of been the tip of the spear of this issue around affordable housing and helping provide economic mobility through affordable housing and workforce development. And so they're just a great organization. and really kind of help lift our community and help partner. And they're great partners, whether it's in banking, but also great partners with other nonprofits in our area.
Right, right. Well, Carter, I appreciate it. It's good stuff, and I'm looking forward to talking to Don here in just a minute. I love their mission as well. Affordable housing, huge topic. Appreciate you joining us. Folks, don't go anywhere, though, because we're going to be back. And, again, I'll be talking to Don Dowden. She is the COO at Homes of Hope. Be right back.
Hello, my name is Don Oglesby. I'm the CEO of Homes of Hope. At Homes of Hope, our mission and vision for South Carolina is generational change. Over the last 23 years, we've grown to become the largest developer of single-family affordable housing in the state, making housing and energy costs affordable for low-wealth families. Our workforce development program has transformed the lives of over 300 men formerly addicted that has equipped them now for successful careers in the construction industry. Our economic development work has created workforce training opportunities as well as small business growth. Together, all of these have produced numerous neighborhood and community revitalization successes, intentionally creating communities of mixed income and providing for economic mobility.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's Talk Business South Carolina, episode number 57, and now we are ready to talk more about affordable housing. And here joining me is Don Dowden. Don is the Chief Operating Officer at Homes of Hope. And Don, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It is good to have you here. Carter was just here, and he said great things about your organization, of course. But I tell you what I am struck by. I'm struck by that little video that we just watched, and your CEO, Don Oglesby, talked about the fact that Homes of Hope is the largest developer of single-family residences in South Carolina. Affordable housing.
Right.
Affordable housing residences in South Carolina. That's pretty big stuff.
It's pretty big stuff. We've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you had. Now tell me how long you've been doing it. Over 2 decades.
So we've been in existence for 27 years, and I've actually been there for 17 of those 27.
Okay. And has Don been there the whole 27 years?
Since the very beginning.
He started it off, huh?
He actually is not our founder.
Yeah.
We did have a founder that he was working for at the time, but he really has been the one that's implemented the vision for the last 27 years.
Right. But let's start with, tell me about the mission of Homes of Hope and tell me what you do there.
Absolutely. So Homes of Hope, actually, the purpose of Homes of Hope is to open up opportunities for economic mobility for families and community members through affordable housing, workforce development, and we do affordable housing and rental housing, property management, as well as the development piece of that. So it is all about the opportunity for economic mobility.
So Don, as I understand it, you guys build single-family units to create kind of a complex of sort, right? I mean, you'll go in and you might build, 10 or 15 or 20 of these units, and then in turn, you rent those out to folks? Is that how that works?
That is correct. So in our developments, current development we have in Taylor's right now, they believe there's around 48 units. Mm-hmm. And in that, there's a mixture of home ownership as well as rental, and they're all affordable.
Right, I got it, okay. But there's always a mixture? Sometimes yes, sometimes no?
We really lean towards a mixture because we do believe that actually, from a community development approach, mixture of incomes as well as mixture of types of housing, affordable and rental, is actually what really builds strong communities. So we have 442 rental homes that are in our rental portfolio that we own and manage. So we built them, we own them, and we manage them.
And Dawn, how are you guys funded?
We are funded multiple ways. We actually produce about 60% of our own income through rental revenue, as well as through grant funding developer fees for doing construction development. And then we also have private funding, like a traditional nonprofit, as well as various different levels of bank funding for construction.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And grant funding, where do these grants come from, by and large?
For the actual construction piece of what we do, which is about, right now we have $32 million in construction happening currently. And so some of those are government grants, and then some of those are private grants as well.
For this part of the conversation, I want to look at the averages
Sure.
of the pricing for South Carolina homes, median pricing and the average wages, and just kind of get a picture of what we're talking about, 30,000 foot from an average perspective, okay? So folks, I'm going to give you a little bit of info here, and I'm going to read some because we got a lot of stats, all right? So one definition of affordable housing is that it's something you spend 30% of your gross income on, right? And so here's some stats. The average household income in South Carolina right now is $93,000, not an average salary, but the average household income gross. 30% of 93 is in the 26K range. We're talking about $2,200 a month if you are going to finance that amount for a home. The equivalent of a $265,000 mortgage is what that is. And a 30-year fixed at 6.5-point financing, which is pretty average today with someone for good credit. To meet the definition of affordable home, we need to build $265,000 homes. Now, from an anecdotal perspective, I can drive around and know that I don't see $265,000 homes. I see subdivisions going up everywhere, and yes, I'll see some that say starting in the high twos, but usually 95% of everything I see are starting in the threes and the fours and the fives. Seems to be a big problem.
It is definitely a big problem. So, construction costs are going up. The difference between us and a traditional construction developer of a for-sale homes is that we can't pass construction increases in costs onto our end users. So we currently have, I actually pulled the number today, we have 152 units that we're developing for sale, and all of those units at this point in time will be sold between the mid to high 200s. So we're getting under
Right in
that
that.
threshold.
Let's talk about what makes things cost prohibitive. One of the things that pops to my mind is that a construction company is going to want to do business where they're making as much profit as they can. Business is business, and building a project that is $265,000 as opposed to $465,000 homes is just not going to bring as much profit. Problem?
For us, it's actually not a problem because for us, we pay the contractor what they would want to charge. What we do is our creativity and innovation comes on the back end, on the financing end. And so if we can pay the contractor what they would charge normally, because we don't want to build housing with cheap materials, we want to build with cheap money. So our capital stack is really to our advantage in those situations where we can get some low interest loans, some deferred loans, and those types of things to actually make those units affordable. And so we don't have to pass that cost on to the end user.
Right. Well, that's great to know. That's good info. And so in these types of situations, you look to folks such as a Dogwood State Bank to give you better fees, give you better interest rates, and make your money go as far as it can go.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. We have a lot of great partners that over the years have been creative when they're able to. And really what a lot of folks that are stepping up now we're seeing is the community development finance institutions, CDFIs, where they have the ability to lend with lower interest rates. But then we've also have had some opportunities where with CRA credits and those types of things that banks get, that they can have some flexibility in their interest rates. Now, it's harder for them to do that now because there's just higher levels of regulation than before.
Do you have a feel what the demand is in South Carolina? We've got 40,000 homes for sale in the state right now. And I don't know what the average price of those homes are, but that's a lot, and I don't know how many of them fall into the affordable category. But do you have an idea of what the demand is?
Well, I can tell you, as of our last measurement, we had on average about 760 folks that are calling us on a monthly basis in the need of affordable housing.
Let's look at it holistically for a second. We have some inflationary pressures. We have high cost in the construction industry because of labor challenges and a lot of other things as well. And let's face it, salaries have been stagnant for quite some time. Salaries are staying here, expenses are going up, and this is getting worse, not better.
So for us, again, it does come down to solutions that are more innovative. So recently, we've been having some opportunities for some private investment in kind of a social impact investment in some of our construction projects, and having that type of people are using their donor advised funds for some of that opportunity. I mean, yes, I mean, we obviously want to focus on the solutions, and we realize that this is a huge challenge. And if we can continue the work that we're doing, where we're having some more creativity on the capital side, and again, we do also have a lot of, grant funders, faith-based communities are donating land. Faith-based communities are donating dollars. We have several different church communities that have actually donated dollars and even provided some low-interest loans for us as well. And so again, because we focus on the who and not the what, we're continuing to, trudge forward, even though it's a steeper hill to climb than it ever has been.
One of the other reasons that affordable housing continues to be a problem is because of the growth rate in South Carolina. People love to move to South Carolina. They love to move to Greenville, and they love to move to Charleston, and so forth and so on. As a matter of fact, folks, in 2023, South Carolina was the fastest growing state in the country, at least from a percentage perspective, at 1.7%, which equates to about 90,000 people. More people, more people, more people, and they're coming in and they want to live in urban areas. Where do you think, or where do you see, is the highest demand for affordable housing if we look at it holistically in South Carolina?
Well, I think, of course, the closer to the urban areas is, where most people want to be. And when you think about the issues that you have in our state with Charleston, and Hilton Head's a really great example. Mm-hmm. Folks that are working in the hospitality industry don't live anywhere close to Hilton Head Island, and they're having to have, reliable transportation and all of those types of things. So absolutely, services are closer within the city as well. But we also do hear from the more rural areas as well that are maybe have a particular plant is coming to that area, and the plant doesn't want to come to that area without the access to affordable housing. So there's also that as well. And of course, it all connects back to the economic engine that makes the state work, and affordable housing is part of that.
You said, how many people contact you a month? 700?
60, right.
Okay, so between 700 and 800 people contact you every month and would love your assistance with getting an affordable home. How the heck do you decide, Mary, you get it, Frank, you don't?
Right.
How does that happen?
So there is a qualification process.
Oh, of course.
With our rental housing, as far as the qualification process, we do, we want to make sure that we're putting them in a home that does get close to that 30% threshold as far as affordability to their income, and also matches their household size. We don't want to put a single person in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Also, too, location matters. Some people want to keep their kids in a certain school district. So really, in a lot of ways, there's multiple different boxes that have to be checked in order for that person to be able to be placed in that home. And we also have some really cool partnerships with, again, some other nonprofits that some folks might not meet some of the thresholds, but because they have that strong support service. Again, a mom, overcoming domestic violence, she's got a support system from a partner agency. And so that support, again, really builds that social capital of our housing, the support service to really help her get to the next step. So there's a lot of different ways, again, that call comes to be. But there's, again, a qualification process for home ownership. That goes through a process of when people come to us, and we actually have currently on our website, we do have for sale homes that are available. Folks do have to be pre-qualified. We have to qualify for a mortgage just like anybody else would. And there are some income limits around that because, of course, we want to make sure that the person is able to afford their mortgage payment. And with our units, there's some opportunities for down payment assistance through local banks, through local programs. There's a teacher down payment assistance program that, or Heroes, I think it's Palmetto Heroes, through SC Housing. And so there can be some opportunities for some of those folks that are, again, teachers, firefighters, could qualify for some down payment assistance. And that has its own qualifications and requirements that go along with that.
The last statistic I saw said that the average cost to rent an apartment, a two-bedroom apartment in South Carolina, is in the $1,700 range. Where do you all fall? What does that look like?
So we have some rents that are the very low end, $450 a month. Now, I do want to just say, since this is a podcast, we don't have many of those, but we do have some of those. The houses that the men in our program actually build qualify for that $450 range. And we go up to about $1,800 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Okay.
Again, that would all be connected with when we're putting somebody in one of those homes to make sure that they're not paying more than that 30-ish% of their income towards their rental housing.
Don, we talked a little bit ago about labor challenges and how so many industries in South Carolina are experiencing labor challenges, right? And the construction industry is right up there. It's hard to get people to take a lot of those jobs. And, you know, it reminds me of something that you all do that I really want to hear about this. And this is such a great program. It's called the Men's Workforce Development Program. Tell me how it works.
Absolutely. So we actually house 12 men and on an annual basis. So we are a 1-year residential construction-based workforce development program for men overcoming drug and alcohol addiction. Some of those are formerly incarcerated men. Some of them are formerly homeless. They've completed a 6-month rehabilitation program, so we're not getting these guys off the streets. They've already made a commitment to be clean and sober, and they join our program. And as a part of our program, they get 1,200 hours of on-the-job training. They build 3 of our houses per year. So they get that on-the-job training. They get to invest back into the community by building a home for a low-income family. It's really that lower income threshold of about $450 a month that family will be paying for that house. And they get opportunities for living wage employment and really an asset. They get OSHA certifications, OSHA 30 certifications, and really have a job skill, a marketable job skill upon graduation from us.
And a wonderful sense of worth.
Absolutely.
Is there a ministerial tie-in there in some fashion?
So absolutely. So our men's workforce development program is a voluntary program, and as a part of that voluntary program, there is a discipleship piece to that. In addition to soft skill training as well. And again, really community-based. They all live in a house together, so there's just built-in accountability as well, which is a real key to anybody that's walking through addiction recovery.
Right. On fantastic stuff.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you joining us. Really inspiring stuff about the program that you're doing there. And I tell you what, you got a big job ahead of you. And here's to hoping that you continue to make a big dent in this, because affordable housing, it's a problem that's not going away. Folks, thanks for joining us on another episode of Let's Talk Business South Carolina. I do want to thank one more time our partner, Haynesworth Sinclair Boyd, for making it possible to bring this content to the business community in South Carolina, and also to Dogwood State Bank, who we produced this episode in conjunction with, and we appreciate those guys. We'll see you next time.